Hey folks, welcome back. The pile of shame. Pile of opportunity. Just a backlog. I think we all have one. Which is funny because if you had told me a few years ago that I would have a huge pile of unpainted miniatures, unpainted terrain, and half-finished projects, I probably would have said you were crazy. But that's actually where I find myself. I've been trying to reorganize sort of my craft and office and storage space over the past couple of weeks. It's an ongoing project, probably going to be going on for quite a while longer. And I've just been coming across so much stuff. Just stuff. And a lot of it, I don't mean to sound like that's bad, a lot of it is really cool stuff that I'd be happy to have in my collection, stuff that I'd be happy to paint. But I just haven't. And I'm sure a lot of you find yourself in similar positions. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit today while I do a little bit of work to help clean up the problem. I'm going to be working on some ruins that I found in an old box. I'd actually forgotten I had these. They're pretty cool pieces, and there's something that if they were finished, probably would have been used on my table a dozen times already. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to do a little painting. Let's jump into it. So I started this process by going through and trying to catalog everything that I already have. All of the miniatures, all of the unpainted terrain, all of the stuff that just has been sitting in bins waiting for my attention. But it quickly got difficult because if you start counting things like the Cursed City box set or the Dungeon Bowl set that I got a little while ago, then it just becomes really difficult to count all of those materials, and it's kind of a meaningless exercise at the end of the day. So what I ended up doing was just going bin by bin through everything, sorting it out, and trying to get rid of pieces that I'm not going to use. And that's how I found these ruins. Now these were made by Mantic, I believe, the people who do the terrain crates. And these were something that I got in a mystery box. Not something I set out to buy on purpose, but they started me thinking, how many things do I have in this room or in my space here that I would use if they were painted, that would already have seen time on the table if I had just taken the time to paint them up? Now the way I do things is that if something's not painted, I don't put it on the table when I'm playing. Yeah, there have been occasional exceptions, but mostly, if there's no paint on it, it's no good to me. So things that aren't painted just sit here in boxes. And ruins are one of those things where I would use them over and over and over if they were ready to go. These particular ruins, even though I think some of these are supposed to be like World War II ruined buildings, I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. But these would be something that I'd have used a bunch of times already. Ruins get brought out all the time. And these for sure would have been on my table, getting some love and getting some play. So I'm going to fix that. I'm especially bothered by these ones because they're so simple to paint. There's nothing to them. It's going to be basically a primer, some simple colors with paint that has high coverage, some dry brushing, and then an oil wash. That's really all there is to these. And I think a lot of us have stuff like this around, stuff that we buy with the intention of putting on the table, doing a quick paint job and getting a lot of use out of it, and it just doesn't happen. No one goes out and buys this stuff though with the intention to never use it. But we underestimate the time it will take to do, and we overestimate our resources, time, storage space, and interest. That's just how it works. Sometimes something that seemed cool last week just doesn't by the time it actually shows up at your door. I can't count the number of projects that I get 90% of the way through and then just drop short at the last leg of the journey, which feels absolutely insane. But even painting miniatures, sometimes you get down to having just those last few details left to do, and it's hard to summon up the inspiration to do them. So I've decided that I'm going to take a little bit of time to find these old projects, fix them up, and put those finishing touches on them that are going to make them something I'm happy to use on my tabletop. Now, I'm still going to be doing my regular crafting, painting, and reviewing videos. This isn't going to affect that. I'm just also going to be doing some smaller videos just talking about abandoned projects and putting a dent in my backlog, and hopefully just showing off the progress I'm making. What I really want to do throughout that is try to change how I think about these projects. There shouldn't be a pile of shame. There shouldn't be stigma attached to these things. We buy them and start working on them with the best of intentions. We just get sidetracked or pulled aside by life or lose interest, and that's okay. But it's also okay to come back and try to fix it. The hobby is supposed to be about joy and about fun and creativity, inspiration, and about pushing yourself and your creative skills to new limits and new places, about trying things you haven't before and just having a good time with it. So I want to stop looking at these projects as something I have to slog through. I mean, ruins they're not very inspiring, especially after you've been painting and creating ruins for so many years. But instead, I want to look at them as easy hobby wins. Really quick, simple ways to do something that looks cool, to put it on the tabletop, and to get a good reaction, and to get good value out of these things we put so much time and effort into. While I paint these up, I'd like to take a moment to thank my Patreon supporters: Amanda Chisholm, Jessica Holden, and Jason Ashton. You're such a huge help to me and to the channel, and you just provide such a great confidence boost and such great motivation to keep things going. I really appreciate all of your support, and it means a lot to me. So here they are, some of the simplest ruins I've ever painted. Just a few minutes worth of picking out colors, of dry brushing. Really the longest part of this entire paint job was waiting for the oil paint to dry. And when I put them on the table, are they going to get a huge reaction? No, probably not. My players have seen ruins before. This is not new to them. But they are going to get on the table, and probably soon. And that's pretty cool, considering these spent, I think, a year and a half in a box in the craft room. I'm calling it a win. I'd like to thank all of you for coming on this little journey with me through my backlog. Your support means the world to me. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe, or share it with a community or person that you think might like it. That is a great way to help a small YouTuber like myself. There is, as always, more content on the way. I believe we've got some unboxing and painting in the next video, and then I think we're moving back onto a craft project before probably diving back into my backlog. Alright, thank you all. Have a good day, and I'll see you on the next one.